Welcome back to ROG Podcast. If you missed part one of my conversation with Sydney Cummings Howdy Shell, go back and listen. We talked about her incredible journey from collegiate athlete to fitness entrepreneur, her mindset through personal tragedy, and how generosity has shaped her path. In this episode, part two, we go even deeper. Sydney opens up about motivation, the behind the scenes of building royal change, her community power of the Sydney Squad, and why her workouts are free. We talk about healthy habits, self-talk, and what generosity means to her. Plus, we have some fun with rapid fire questions, including how many sneakers she actually owns and even a Guinness World Record. Let's jump back in with Sydney Cummings Howdy Shell. We grow when we give.
We grow when we give.
We grow when we give.
Nosotros crecemos cuando damos.
We grow when we give.
与えるとき成長する。
We grow when we give.
Welcome to ROG, Return on Generosity, a podcast celebrating generosity at work. Not financial giving, giving valuable time, alternative perspectives, and genuine collaboration.
You know, there were 8 shots fired. The next night, these people were apparently on a string of crimes of like robbery and, attempted murder. And the next night they did shoot another person, but that person knew who they were. So they were turned in. And I think one of the 4 was stopped. So it's a miracle that we're both still alive.
It is a miracle. How scary is that? And what's the aftermath for you emotionally, mentally, and physically? I mean, here you're a personal trainer. You need your body, you need your foot. How did that impact you in all of those ways?
I think that when I first woke up from the surgery, that was my first thought. Like, what am I capable of anymore physically? I didn't know if I could walk or if I'd be able to feel my foot. And luckily, the physicality of it is just like a stiff ankle. It's nothing that I can't work around. My squats are a little bit more sumo squat nowadays, but that's ultimately all the physical after effects of it. But I think mentally, it's just to sort of live in this small town ignorance is bliss. Everyone's nice. Like, don't worry about strangers sort of mindset until you figure out that you kind of have to worry about your surroundings a little bit more. So Dustin and I, for a long time, we were just like scared of everyone, like looking over our shoulder, didn't go outside at night. We still don't like to go outside at night by ourselves. It was a nighttime accident. It was completely unprovoked. It wasn't like we had a history with these shooters or, we had cash in our hands that they wanted or they tried to rob us. It was just like, we're walking to our car, they shoot. So it's the lack of logic there is almost what's the most confusing and the most frustrating, because they almost took our lives and our mission away. But I think it's just now being a lot more conscious of our surroundings, a lot less naively trustworthy when going out in public. And we're definitely a lot more skeptical of noises and our son being around strangers and just people in general. So I think that's probably the biggest lasting effect, is just a little bit less trustworthiness with people that we don't know. And, fireworks or gunshots, it's a little bit more like, oh gosh, that's a little bit upsetting. But I think mentally the aftermath is also flip it back again to like, I'm so grateful to be alive. Yeah. Like, it probably shouldn't have been the case. And especially for Dustin, I'm just so grateful that they missed him so he could get us out of there and he's alive. Right. And there's no shortage of gratitude for actually just still being here.
And is that what you ground yourself in? Like, you stay focused on your gratitude?
Yeah, I think that's our underlying kind of mantra is there's just so many things to be grateful for. Being alive, being the most basic one. Losing my brother reminds you you're still here, you still have a life. Almost losing our own life, you're still here, you still have a life. And so it's almost like this mentality that we've had to grow into that sometimes forces us to feel a little bit less connected to people who thankfully haven't had to go through terrible things like that. But also just, when you think about how your time is utilized or what you're doing with your life, it can kind of be this place of like, you have a life, let's freaking go, like do something great with it. Yeah. And you see, I think Dustin's biggest strength is his ability to see people's potential. And I love that about him. And it also is so frustrating to him because he will have friends who's like, you have the world at your hands. You're still here. You have the ultimate setup. You have a supportive family. Go for it. And it's probably one of the biggest causes of frustration with like personal relationships for us, with
Yeah.
seeing people's potential and wanting them to go for it and wanting them to go bigger and take risks. And the fact that they're still alive, and it's just like they haven't gone through similar things, so it's hard to sometimes relate. Or even from a leadership perspective, we're like, guys, go big, like take risks, try something, and or figure it out, like you can do this, the world is your oyster. And so it's kind of a almost lonely road when you have this big thing happen to you, where you really realize your time is limited, your life is precious, you have everything you need to make a huge change, and whatever you want to do, you
Yeah.
can do it. It's almost placed like an urgency and a passion filled mantra, gratitude and passion every day for us. And so it may come
Yes.
across as like that's all we talk about, but it's so real for us that you're still here. We don't know how long we have, but oh my gosh, the world is just so full of opportunities right now. And I think when we hear people feeling stuck or thinking stuck, we're just like, you can go for it,
Yeah. Yeah. Come
So
on.
it's
Yeah.
almost a place of contention with friends and family, where
Yeah.
they voice the stuck, but there's never that next step. And we get so frustrated by like, go for it, just trying to
Yes.
always see everyone's potential or get them to see their own potential, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't mean that you don't sometimes get frustrated too, or that, because I think sometimes when you're motivated and passionate, people think that you'd never have a down day. And it's
Oh
like,
yeah,
no, of course you do. You're human, but you have
absolutely.
resources and tools and ways that help you get back on track, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, everyone has those days where they're just, you don't feel it. You don't feel motivated today. You don't feel
Mm-hmm.
excited about things. And we all have those. And I know my family went through the loss of my brother. Dustin's family has, his mom has multiple sclerosis, and she's dealt with depression and a lot of suicide attempts. So we see people have tough days a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's sort of partially probably another reason that we push so hard for people to find their happy, healthy, strong, whatever that is,
Mm-hmm.
just our own families. But knowing what's possible for people and staying in the stuck place, how tough it is to get out of it the longer you stay there, that's really important too. It's not just
Mm-hmm.
that we won't have bad days. Everyone will have a bad day. Everyone will wake up not feeling it, but it's the choice that you make right after that. Same thing with nutrition and your goals. It's not the cake, it's the week of cake, pizza, cookies that gets you off track and kind of makes it tougher to hit your goals. It's not the event or the bad day, it's the continuation of either that mentality or that pattern that keeps you stuck and makes it harder to climb out of that hole.
Mm-hmm. Oh, without a doubt. And you often say healthy, happy, strong. Can you break those down for us? So let's start with healthy.
Yeah, we actually have it happy, healthy, strong for that mental health reason being first, of, finding what makes you happy.
Happy
Like I said, our
first.
parents having gone through depression, or, what they've gone through, we see how valid it can be to be in a tough situation with mental health. And it's always been understood by us, unfortunately, that everything that comes outside of your thought process does have to start with your thought process. So it has to be this place where mentally you feel like, I'm ready for the fight. I have a fight to give. I want to get out of this stuck place. And making sure your mental health is stable or able to take on a challenge is sort of based
Mhm.
on from physical health or nutrition goals or whatever it might be,
Yeah.
professional, personal. It all kind of starts with making sure that your happiness is something that you're actively pursuing. Not that everyone has to be happy all the time, but that you're working on it. And then
Mm-hmm.
healthy comes from that next step after, you're mentally a little bit more sound, or willing to kind of keep fighting for it. Then your nutrition choices are supportive of that. And then, your fitness and the wellness spectrum of a well you. And then strong has been sort of like a physical and a mental tribute to what we've come through, how we think training should be, what your goal should be for training.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure that it's all very well rounded in mental health and physical health, and then the way that you think about yourself and your training being, strength rooted.
Excellent. And what tips do you have for our listeners on how to think about themselves? Like, how can people work on their mental state?
A lot of it comes from what you're surrounded by and what you're feeding to yourself, not just with a fork and spoon, but what you ingest visually, what you ingest from what you hear, what you ingest from who you're around. I think anyone would fall into a trap of thinking negatively or filled with gossip or stress if that's all they see and read and hear. And the more that you seek those things out, the more they're there as well. Just negativity in general is a lot more readily available. So finding a goal that you have for yourself is number one. Like, what do you want? It can be baseline happiness. It can be fulfillment. It can be hopefully something a little bit more tangible and identifiable the more you think about it. But
Yeah.
from there, it's just knowing who you're around and what you say to yourself and what you hear other people say to you, to themselves, is a huge part of this. And we can't just, ignore what we're scrolling through on social media all day, or you can't just ignore it like, oh, all my friends are super negative, but I'm going to be positive. It's almost impossible. So I think you have to figure out who and what you're surrounded by. And does that make it easier to get there, wherever you want to
Yeah.
go? Professional advancement, personal happiness,
Mhm.
fitness and nutrition goals. You're hanging out
All
with
of
people
that.
that eat terribly and never work out all the time. How long do you think it's going to take for you to eventually start working out less, eating a little bit, more fast food and burgers and fries? And it's not that those are bad, but if you're
Yeah.
not
But
around people that support you, or the energy, or the, I don't want to say vibes, but the
no, I think
lifestyles
that's
that
right on.
encourage where you want to go,
Yeah.
it's going to be super difficult. And then you
hmm
start hearing the way that you start talking to yourself based on how people talk about themselves around you, which is why
Right.
I always try to talk to people my age now, especially where we're parents. I thankfully didn't grow up with parents who talked really negatively about themselves, or had this toxic relationship with food or anything, but I know everything that I say, my kids very soon, they hear that, and that's
Yeah.
their inner voice now. And so when we start, grabbing our arms and jiggling or saying, I'm working out because I'm fat, that's what kids associate with why you work out. Or that's the association that they make with, let's focus on all my imperfections. And social media already does way too much of that for us. So we have to figure out how to make it our mission for ourselves.
Yeah.
And then, like we talked about earlier, it trickles out into your family. It trickles out into the surrounding that you ultimately create for yourself too. Because if your family is, seeing you pick yourself apart and hate yourself, that's eventually what they're going to start to do. And that's going to become way too normal. So I heard someone say the other day that they had this metaphor of, pouring into yourself before you pour into others, with stacking up a cup pyramids, or a pyramid of cups. And at
Uh-huh.
the top was your cup. And you poured into that cup. When that cup filled up, then it trickled down to all the other cups. But you
Yes.
weren't just trying to fill up the bottom first and expect it to climb up to you.
Mm-hmm.
So having that pour into myself, know what I want, know how I should be talking to myself and what I want to hear, then other people benefit, I think is a great place to start.
I love that metaphor so much.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I use a different one where I think about a pitcher, and you're the pitcher of water, and then there's this tray with all these glasses, and all those glasses represent the things that you want to pour into. But eventually, that pitcher becomes dry, and then you're, like the glasses still want to be filled, and you're like, again.
Uh-huh.
You know?
Yeah,
And it's like, wait, but I need to fill the pitcher, right? That's
exactly.
a me job. So I
Exactly.
like your visual with the stacking, because it's like we want to fill all of those cups. We want to be that fountain, but we've got to do the us work first.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
not selfish or crazy. No
No.
matter what you've been told or what you hear,
Yeah.
I think there's a generational gap between how my grandma and great grandma thought about themselves as just service leaders in the family. I do everything for everyone else, and then I'm not really happy, but everyone is fed and everyone's taken
Yeah. Yeah.
care of. And
That's
I've
my job.
watched
Yeah.
that happen so much. I'm like, why isn't grandpa cooking for you? Why isn't he also washing laundry? And it's just, that's what they grew up around too. That's what they were
Yeah.
taught. That's what they saw. So I just hope to be a part of that transition where it's not selfish to take care of your own self, especially when people are benefiting from you and your energy, and
hmm
you can be that inspiration for someone else.
Right. And so you are talking about this already with generosity, but love to get your thoughts overtly on generosity. When you think about generous leadership and return on generosity, what are some of the things that come to your mind?
I think what I learned early on is that there's just enough for everyone to go around. The YouTube space in terms of fitness was pretty small when I first started, and then the pandemic happened and literally everyone jumped on YouTube digital fitness, but there was never a shortage of people that needed help, and there's never a shortage of enough for everyone to succeed or to find happiness or to make money, whatever your mission is. And I don't think you should be ashamed of whatever fulfills you. We used to have these conversations with new employees, like, tell us what motivates you. If it's a car, tell us a car, and don't be super shy about it. Don't be ashamed if you're like, I just want more money so it doesn't feel so hard to live. Like, tell us what motivates you. And so I think generosity is something that I've learned in the way that you think about your path. There's enough for everyone. As a leader now, I try to instill knowing what actually fulfills you and then going for how do we fulfill that and being grateful for that journey. I'm grateful for the team that we have now. I'm grateful for my husband, but it's also like everyone's fueled by something different. We all get the fulfillment of, I'm so grateful for this journey, when for me, it's like another subscriber level. For another employee here, she's getting closer to her dream car. For another employee here, she's putting her kids in a new school that she feels more confident with. And they're all grateful for that opportunity and that potential. So gratitude, I feel like, is something that I've learned to practice more, but I've never really been short on, like, gratitude is the underlying kind of voice for me. Like, okay, it's not a good day, but at least I've got a coffee here. It's just something small that doesn't have to be like, I am so absolutely put together today. That's
Blown
what
away,
I'm
yeah.
grateful. It's just like, not every day is going to be great, but you're going to find something great in every day as long as you're looking for it. And
That's
you
it.
see that there's enough, whatever motivates you, for everyone.
Yes.
We're all going to rise if we put in the work. So being
Yeah.
grateful for the opportunities that we have now versus, like I was saying, my great grandma, the opportunities that she had versus what we have now. Oh my gosh. It's just, the world is completely open to whoever wants to go and grab it.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love that. So you're talking about the team and some of what motivates them, but curious to know, like, royal change, like, who's behind the scenes. I often think about that when we're working out together, like, how many people are behind the scenes here? Like, what does it take to create the productions that you currently offer?
Not as many as you would think.
Really?
It's we have 5 people here in our media studio, and we have a couple that are remote. But the actual workout portion for up until like a year and a half ago was just Dustin and myself, just filming, editing, producing, photography, lighting, set design. That has been Dustin and myself for the most part. Now we have a guy that films and edits part of the video with us. So we have a videographer, photographer, and then we have customer service support for our apparel line and fulfillment distribution. We have that in-house here as well. So they do all the merchandise, the customer support, both for the apparel and also the Sydney Squad membership. And then we have fashion designers who are remote from here. And that has been our big mission this year, is to get specialists. We have people now that can do so many things, but having people that, like, okay, you're just in charge of marketing or you're just in charge of graphic design. We are very much scratching the surface of our potential. And so our mission this year, outside of the pregnancy, has been like hiring specialists who the marketing is always covered with this person, or graphic design, or whatever it might be. So that's another mission of ours, is to help give people jobs with our company, but also help this company help more people, because we're reaching more people. Ultimately, more is being done here, I guess is
Yes.
what I'm trying to say.
The ripple effect, right?
Yeah, but we're pretty lean.
So tell us a little bit about Sydney Squad and the apparel, because I want our listeners to know more about that.
So the Sydney Squad both of them actually came from demand of the customer. If you can call a customer a viewer from YouTube, we wanted that to be our free resource and our lead generator for whatever would come. And when we started doing the workouts, people also wanted nutrition help, or they wanted a community where they could talk about the workouts, or they wanted a place to post their sweaty selfies. And you can't really do that on the YouTube comments area. So they coined themselves in the comments, the Sydney Squad, like, hey, Sydney Squad, we did the workout today. And we just kind of ran with that. I didn't call it the Sydney Squad. It was created for me, but we took it kind of away from YouTube onto Facebook for a while, and now it has its own app, which we're working on customizing. But essentially, it's everything outside of the workouts. It's, adding more value to your journey outside of the physical workouts, where we have nutrition, we have accountability, we have live access to me several times a week. We bring guest speakers in. And then the community, of course, is one of the main strengths of it. It's thousands of people from all over the world, different goals, different backgrounds, different lifestyles in general, but just a place to connect for people that use the same workouts. But also, there's so much more than the workout, which is kind of where we try to pour in with the Sydney Squad. And then the apparel came from the Sydney Squad, which came from YouTube as well. But just initially wanting like graphic screen printed tees, and we were like, okay, well, maybe we could try some tank tops. And we would order these tank tops in and send them to a local screen printer. And we grew from that to designing probably hundreds of custom pieces now, with sports bras and leggings and merchandise like towels and water bottles and
Sweatshirt.
sweat towels, jump ropes, glute resistance bands. But we're just kind of moving forward with the custom cut and sew design of athletic wear, which is what Royal Change has kind of formed into, since it was a little bit confusing with people like, what is Royal Change? You're Sydney on YouTube, and that's how we know you. So we've just kind of let that be the apparel brand name for now.
Oh, okay. And how is it going?
Great. We have 3 more launches prepared for this year. We are doing product shots today. I actually have the pants on and the sports bra on right now for one of our new upcoming launches. But the fashion designer that we hired has been incredible in getting us to stop being so short term, like we get the product, we put it out, we get the product, we put it out, but planning for next launch. And it's just been like that specialist goal for us in terms of having employees. Like, she's handling it. She's always talking with the factory. She's always putting in tech back design. She's always giving samples feedback, fabric feedback, making tweaks, trying it on fit models. And it's just, that's what we need for so many different parts of the business. But for that reason, it's taught us how valuable that is, but also what our true potential could be outside of just apparel.
Awesome. So I wanted to know, before we go into rapid fire, the reason that you offer the workouts for free. I'd asked a couple of your other Sydney Squad members in my own community, questions that they wanted to ask you. And the one that Olivia Ingram asked is like, what motivates you to offer workouts for free?
It goes back to just kind of how Dustin and I grew up and how we were raised, and ultimately knowing that there are people who were raised like us. And although we had sports, we didn't have gym memberships, we didn't have personal trainers, obviously. We also didn't grow up around, fitness oriented parents. So having just something there for people who maybe money was a barrier, maybe proximity to a gym was a barrier, maybe gym intimidation was a barrier to them. We wanted to kind of reach people with a high quality fitness experience from a certified personal trainer with a lot of athletic background, just as high caliber of a workout as we could give them wherever they are, whatever their circumstances were. And I think our mission of giving back, we've definitely achieved that with breaking a Guinness World Record of the most workouts produced by an individual.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I should know that.
Over 2,000 workouts on the channel now, but we saw the Guinness World Record and we were like, okay, we've already beat that.
We got to do that.
10, so we might as well submit for it. But it was just something that came from how we grew up and knowing that everyone deserves high quality fitness wherever they are, whenever they can access it. Motivation can strike at 2 a.m. for someone in New Zealand, and I don't want them to have to find all kinds of like paid platforms. Like, just go here. You've got to work out for whatever you're looking for. There's thousands of them to pick from. And whenever motivation strikes, you have a high quality experience, not just, I don't know, like, let's piece something together. Let's find something on social. So there's a program, or there's a 12-week package, or there's a 20-minute workout because that's all you have. And we just wanted to meet people where they were with, understanding there's so many barriers to fitness, but we want to take as many of them down as we possibly can.
Yes. Oh, you do it so well. Thank you to you and Dustin for that. It's amazing. All right.
Yeah.
So you ready for some rapid fire?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. All right. So if you could only choose one, strength training or cardio, what would you choose?
Strength training.
Okay. How many pairs of sneakers do you have?
I'm going to say over 100. They've just been accumulated. I know that's not rapid fire, but they're always my gift for like holidays or celebrations or whatever, and I don't really ever throw them away.
That's what people give you them as gifts.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
like
And
a solid go-to. Size 9, everyone knows Nike size 9. She's probably going to love it. So
yep. Oh, and you wear it well. The whole
yeah.
outfit's coordinated. I mean, do you do that yourself?
Yeah.
Your whole outfit. Oh my gosh, amazing
Yeah.
job. I don't know how you are so creative day after day.
Oh, thank you.
What's your favorite post-workout meal?
Ooh, I would say a protein shake and a piece of fruit.
Okay. Is there a favorite piece of fruit that you like?
Apple's a pretty solid go-to. Crunchy and sweet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. One book or podcast that has significantly influenced you.
I like Mind Pump a lot. It talks a lot about the science behind training. And I also like any sort of leadership podcast as well, because I don't come from a business background. That's a lot of that I learned from Dustin. And I like listening to people talk about how they run their businesses and the tough decisions that you have to make, the tough parts of it. It just makes it feel a lot less lonely.
That's really important. What's a personal mantra that you live by?
Never give up.
Perfect. How do you unwind after a busy day? Which sounds like most days are busy days. So how do you unwind most days?
I would say just spending time with my son. We don't really go out a lot, so it's just kind of like drawing or creating with him or just sitting on the couch and reflecting with Dustin. Or I don't know that there's ever really a time where we're not thinking about quote unquote work, but it's easy to call it work because I know it's what we do, but it's ultimately like a creative passion as well. So unwinding with my guys.
Yeah, it's a mission for you. And you're about to bring a third guy into the mix. Can you
Yeah.
talk to us? This isn't a rapid fire question, but can you tell us a little bit about your growth as a family?
Yeah, we are about to welcome our second son any day now, any minute now. I'm just kidding. Maybe, I don't know. But yeah, I was very shocked that it was another boy, but so excited. I kind of feel a little boy mom identity confirmation in
Mhm.
there. But my son is almost 3 and he's very into little brother coming. So we're super excited and nervous, but also just pumped. We didn't come from huge families, so we want to give
Mhm.
that to our kids as well. Just siblings and cousins and love. So it's exciting for us.
That's amazing. What has changed for you since you've become a mom? And probably everything, but
Yeah,
what are some of the
aside from
key things that have
everything,
changed?
I think the prioritization of another example of what really matters,
Mhm.
um, going into each day. You don't really have the choice to just not want to do it today. You just have to. And I think being an athlete my whole life helped with that. It wasn't like, do you want to go to practice or do you not want to go to practice? Pick and choose. Like your scholarship depends on it. Your like whatever
Yeah.
livelihood depends on it. And so it's the same thing with being a mom. It's not like a struggle where I don't want to do it every day. It's just like you get up and do what you have to do.
Yeah.
So if you're struggling with that mentality, I think taking the resistance out of just getting things done has been helpful for me. Realizing I can be growing constantly, and evolving and learning more about myself and being more patient and just looking at the world through someone's eyes who's not influenced by social media, who doesn't care to impress people, who is
Yeah.
genuinely authentically himself. He is positive and he wants the basic things of connection, of
Life.
movement, of good healthy food. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is how adults should be. Like, why are we
Yeah.
so complicated? I mean, I know why we are complicated, but it's just like the basic things in life that bring him joy are we forget them sometimes, and
Mm.
we go to pleasing people or how do we look or where's our energy today? Oh my gosh, everyone is mad at me, or it's just like so simple. The life that he lives
Mhm.
is so joy filled and so simple, and I always want him to be himself and not
Mhm.
it's not about me. It's about his best life coming to life, and I'm so glad to be a part of that.
Yeah.
I can foster him making decisions and him being independently motivated by what brings him joy.
Yeah.
That brings me joy. And so prioritizing that helps me be a better version of Sydney, not just mom, but as a
Yeah.
person as well. And I think the same goes for Dustin. We've just been like, life is amazing with this cool kid, you know?
Oh,
It's so
I couldn't
good.
agree more. I know parenting is the absolute greatest blessing. So
Yeah.
I love that you're, just taking it in for all that it is because it's a ton of work, but it's also so
Yeah.
much joy and fulfillment. So
Right.
we have made it to our cool down, Sydney. And so my last question for you is when you're telling us whatever you're telling us when we're cooling down, is that just off the top of your head? Is that like coming straight from your heart? Where is that coming from?
Yeah, it is. It's just knowing maybe what I'm going through, maybe what I've seen someone type on the Sydney Squad or on YouTube. It's all just like a human nature of me
Hmm.
looking at what do we normally think. I feel like I have a pretty good sit back and observe people sort of empathy about me. And
Hmm.
I know that it transfers so deeply into who we are as people outside of our workouts, how we think about ourselves within the workouts. And I think
Hmm.
strength training, I go back to, oh man, I love strength training over cardio because I think cardio is great. We all need some cardio. But
Yeah,
if there could be a replica of life, it's strength training, in my opinion. You put
agreed.
yourself up to these challenges. You have the choice, obviously, to make it easier, harder on yourself, but ultimately you're going to get through it. And it's just about
Mhm.
what you learn through that process of,
Yeah.
oh, I overcame this weight I didn't think I could do today, or pushing through. I just have to finish. I have to push through. I can't give up. If I do, I'm going to drop this dumbbell in my face. Or if I do, like, I'm not getting as much out of this experience as I could. So
Right.
pushing yourself and finding your boundaries and finding your preconceived notions of set limits is so powerful because that just keeps inching forward and you keep discovering new levels of strength in your physical body. I say in the workout and in life. It's just so powerful to watch yourself grow into this person who's more confident in themselves, who's more
Yeah.
resilient, and who believes in themselves a little bit more, both in the weights that you're choosing and the opportunities that you're chasing outside of the workouts as well.
Hmm. Yes. Oh, well, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. You are the best. I adore you. I am cheering for you. And I just can't wait to hear about your second baby and just how your life continues to evolve. And just you are a blessing. And I'm deeply grateful.
Oh, well, thank you so much. And this has been a great time. I love reflecting on what truly matters and being grateful for all of it. So thank you as well.
Yes. Don't give up.
Thanks for listening to ROG, Return on Generosity Podcast. Please help us grow by subscribing and reviewing us on your favorite podcast player. And for more information, visit bridgebetween.com. We grow when we give.
우리는 나누면서 성숙합니다.
We grow when we give.
On rayonne quand on donne.
We grow when we give.